Our guest this week has been making incredible music for decades. He's released more than 20 albums, charted 20 singles, including multiple #1 and top 5 hits on the country charts. And best of all, he's one of my own personal favorite singers and performers of all time. Please welcome to the Rosie and Bill Show, John Berry. John, welcome to the show.
Well, it's good to be with you guys. I appreciate the invitation.
Well, we are so glad that you took us up on it. And we've got a lot of ground, a lot of things we want to talk with you about, John. But if you don't mind, I'd like to turn the clock back just a little bit to what I personally believe may be the best vocal performance I've ever seen. And it was, I believe, 1995, CMA Awards. Vince Gill introduces you. You were up for 2 awards that year, Horizon Award and Best Male Vocalist. And you came out, it was you, your guitar, I remember a bench on the stage, and you went into If I Had Any Pride Left at All. And when the song was over, I remember watching at home on TV, the entire audience rose up. I rose up, and I think everybody watching rose up. And what I couldn't help but wonder was, you had put in so much work and so much time leading up to that night. And I was wondering, John, what was it like after all you did to get there, to receive that reception that you got there from the audience and the accolades there from the CMA? What was that like for you after all the work you put in?
It was crazy. It was a crazy night, and to have that little moment, and that moment in time will always be in my mind one of the highlights of my career. It was an incredible night, and it was one of those, when I think back on my career, that is a highlight moment. That is one of the top highlight moments of all the years I've been doing this. So it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, John, I have to tell you, as I said, one of the most amazing performances I've ever seen, and there were literally moments in between the short breaks, in between notes, where I swear you could hear a pin drop at that venue. So I just, again, I was so happy to have you on the show, and just to hear you say that about that, because as someone who's from Philadelphia, not exactly a hotbed of country music, but there are a lot of country music fans in Philly.
Oh yeah.
That's when I knew I absolutely love this music. So thank you for saying that. And again, I just, I'll never forget it either, for what it's worth.
Well, it was kind of crazy, because when they invited me to sing on the show, of course, I was like, how cool is this going to be? I get to sing on the CMA Awards. I get to sing with the big band, the backup vocalists, all that stuff. And they said, oh, no. Just bring your guitar. I'm like, oh, great. An inspirational moment with John Berry. So,
at least they gave you a bench.
Yeah. And an old pickup truck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. The background.
Yeah. But it's one of those things that after a while, you have to embrace who you are. And if I'm the inspirational moment, I'll take that. When people have the party, they don't call John Berry to play the party. It's just not. It's not me. It's not what and people don't get that vibe from me. That's not what. But when they need an inspiration, well, that's pretty darn cool.
Well, you've segued right into the next question quite naturally. First of all, being an inspiration is an amazing accomplishment and something most people would prefer to be. So congratulations on that. And you have overcome so much adversity in your life, John, from a motorcycle accident in the 80s to brain surgery and vocal cord surgery in the 90s. And then finally, recently, you had throat cancer, Where do you draw your strength and your inspiration from to bounce back from those things? And what are the positives that you take away?
Well, my faith in Christ is the basis of my existence. I'm here to glorify God and nothing else. Everything else is just stuff. And I did, like you said, I got hit by a car riding a motorcycle. Earlier that same year in 1981, I was about 20 years old, and I lost my mom. Mm-hmm. And I was a very young 20-year-old. And then I had vocal cord surgery in the 90s. I had the motorcycle wreck broke both my legs and my hip. And then I had the brain surgery in 94, vocal cord surgery in 97. And I'm like, man, this. And then about 10 years later, I had a horseback riding accident and broke my shoulder and my hand, and that was a scary one. And then I kept saying, well, wow, my 20s, my 30s, and 40s, my 50s, they've been awesome. Looking forward to my 60s. Cancer. Oh. So, and I had throat cancer, and my first response was, are you kidding? God, are you kidding me? I mean, I spent my whole life singing. I mean, my first album, which y'all have never heard, thank God, came out in 1979. I did 6 albums before I was signed with Capitol. I've been doing this a long time. I've done about 35 albums actually over the years. All of a sudden I got throat cancer. I'm just like, no, that's this is, what is this, a bad TV movie? What is this, And that night my wife and I were in bed, and we were talking about the events of the day. And I told her, I said, the motorcycle wreck, the loss of my mom, the vocal cord surgery. I said, I keep thinking that God's just trying to get my attention. And she said, please listen this time. She said, please listen. We don't need any more drama. Just listen. Open your heart to what the Holy Spirit's trying to talk to you about and to draw you to. And because we just need to, we just need to level out here and not have so much drama in our lives. And it's true because, circumstances in our life, whatever the circumstances are, an issue with a child, the health of a child, the loss of a child, the loss of a job, your house burns down, whatever things happen in your life they're going to impact you one way or the other, for good or for bad. For the bad, it's going to build bitterness in your heart. It's going to do all sorts of things to you spiritually and tear down any relationship you may have had with God or with Christ or not let you have that peace that is available through Christ. Or you can count all things as joy, whatever it is, because whatever comes into my life, nothing comes into my life without God saying, okay, he signs off on all that. So if God signed off on it, I'm good with it. And I'll deal with it. I'll face it. But the cool thing is I don't have to face it alone.
The rain keeps it coming and the flood waters up to the rafters. And they're standing on the rooftops praying for something that floats.
Ooh, somebody tell me now, why does it always take some kind of natural disaster
for us to realize we're all in the same boat? God
Welcome everyone to the Rosie and Bill Show. You know, we've had the opportunity to welcome some amazing up and coming singers and songwriters to our show. And tonight we have a rising star who's taking off like a rocket ship, not just across the country, but around the world. Please welcome to the Rosie and Bill Show, singer, songwriter, guitarist, pianist, one of my favorites, drummer, and powerhouse performer, Jessica Lynn. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. That was quite the intro. We got to bring you on tour.
He's the guy. He really is. Jessica, you are a rising star, but before we get to all the amazing things you have going on right now and coming up in the near future, you're from New York, right?
I am.
Where in New York are you from?
I was born in Brooklyn, New York, the most country of places, I know. And I grew up, and I still am, in Westchester County, New York. So I live about an hour north of New York City.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because that's what I want to know is how did a New Yorker get a little bit country here?
So my dad, well, both of my parents are musical. They actually play in my band. My mom is my background singer, and my dad is my bass guitarist. My husband plays lead guitar too. And my dad, despite being an Italian New York City street cop, always loved country music. So when I was a kid, he always had it playing every car ride in the house. That was George Strait or Phil Vassar. And so I just really fell in love with it, especially as I started to songwrite. I really felt very connected to the stories that country music could tell.
And the whole family affair thing, was that something that you worked to have happen, or did it just kind of fall into place like that?
Well, since I was 18, I made a living working in a wedding band with my family. So it kind of, I was doing rock and roll music since I was 13 years old, playing in like every New York City nightclub with my teenage band. And we were very close to some really big opportunities that just unfortunately didn't pan out because the other kids in the band were kids. And I always had this career-driven mentality. So when I decided later on in life, I think it was like 19 or so, to be a country artist, and I wanted to be a solo artist because I didn't want anybody to mess anything up for me again. I said, if anyone's ever going to screw this up for me in my dream, I want it to be me and me only. So we just transitioned into the Jessica Lynn band, and it was just kind of a natural progression for the family, I guess.
Well, one of the things that you just talked about in terms of how you're driven, Jessica, and one of the many things that impressed us about you is the fact that you've put your money where your mouth is. And one prime example of that is the television specials that you financed. And those are some amazing performances in those specials. So I had to ask, what brought those specials about, and what's the impact of them been on your career thus far? That's
actually a really cool story. So when I decided I wanted to do country, I said to my dad, who also co-manages me now, I said, let's do a demo. Let's record this new music that I want to do. And he said, you're different, you're Italian, you're from New York. Don't do a demo just like everybody else. Let's do something weird, like something really different that's going to kind of play on what sets you apart. So in a weird course of events, a venue was just opening up down the street from my house. And that was an old church that was converted into a winery and music venue. And so we literally knocked on their door. It was like, hey, can we film a TV special here? And I fought my dad tooth and nail. He was like, let's do a TV special. I was like, who is ever going to air a television special from a totally unknown artist? Everybody in the world would do it. And he said, worst comes to worst. And he loves that when I admit that I was wrong, by the way. He said, worst comes to worst, you have a great live video to shop. You have recorded versions of your new music. You just have content. And then we do the demo. I was like, okay. So we knock on this venue, like, hey, before you open, you mind if we get in here and film something? Hired the cheapest, most affordable camera crew we could. I had no name, nothing. We just gave tickets to all of our friends to fill the venue. I always say, on a shoestring budget and a dream, we tried it. And that show wound up going nationwide on PBS. which literally jump-started my whole career. That next summer, we were playing the biggest country music festivals in the country. I went on tour with Jody Messina, and it just kind of spiraled from there.
Wait a minute. How did you get it to PBS?
We literally sent it to them. I was like, would you be interested in airing this? We'll give it to you for free. and they picked it up. And we just didn't know the impact it would have. It started on a few stations. Every station is independently operated. And before we knew it, it was like, okay, Wyoming has it. Okay, Connecticut has it. Montana has it. Texas is airing it. And it was like we were covering like 85-90% of the country without even spending a dollar in marketing. And it started everything for me. It's a really big part of my story.
Today I found out that he had someone to hide. I knew that all my fears that kept me up at night were true. Thought that he knew better, thought he'd never quit or give up on us. Just like that, I must admit it's true. You ain't got nothing if you don't got me. So good luck, baby, you are gonna see that I was the best you'd ever meet. So take a good look as you watch me leave. I'm not your woman anymore. I'm not someone you run around on. Think I'm walking through my door. I'm not angry, not even sad. I'm just glad I know by now that you want nothing more than bad. I'm through, I'm done, ain't no more I could say. It's too late now and I'm way too strong to stay. Tired of all your phone calls, all the mail, that gift. I couldn't even bring myself to open it. It's true. Trying to make up for everything you done. You should have thought of that before you had your fun. It's true.